Yo boys, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing the best Gladiator classes. That means what's going to be the best option to push. Um, I am making this video at 8 a.m. so I am tired. I actually just woke up a little bit ago. So keep that in mind. But I think Super T's uploaded something like this a little bit, but he didn't actually he goes through um the actual facts. So he goes through the I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. Like the graph. I'm going for just what I've seen and the classes that I've seen. For example, for my last tier list, when I put Elemental Shaman at A plus tier, and then I watched it uh, play threes with a Fury Warrior, I regretted putting Evoker at S tier, and I should have put Ellie at S tier. And that's just an example of you have to kind of see every class because it just there's just so many variations. There's so many comps to play. So today we're going to be starting off with the good old-fashioned Elemental Shaman, which is now going to be S tier. It's going to be one of the best specs in the game to push with, mainly because Elemental Shaman and Fury Warrior put those two together and it's just an insanity amount of damage. It's not just an insane amount of damage, but burst damage as well. You're just full throttling the entire game, and when you have two people that's doing a million or 1.5 damn on their burst consistently, there's not many teams that can survive. I will say their defensive wise can be kind of weak. When I play it, if you're not playing with a good Ellie or a good Fury Warrior, they can die really quick. But overall, they're doing so much pressure right now. If you're looking to push, that's gonna be one of your classes, and it's gonna do really good with Fury Warrior. The next one we have is going to be Restless Shaman. I would say it's okay. Um, you can make it work, but it's kind of just the same healing wise that it's always been. It's going to be a lot easier to push for Glad as, for example, an H-POW, a Pres Evoker, or a Disc Priest. Those are pretty much your options. The other ones are going to be playable, which so we'll put them at 8 plus tiers, so still viable, still good, but overall you're just going to see the three top healers, which is kind of, obvious. That's kind of just how it is. The next one we have is going to be Enhancement Shaman, which is going to be A plus tier. Playing Fury Warrior Enhancement Shaman, insane. Um, Turbo is always really good, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. It's just a one-shot macro. It's going to be really good with a Warrior, and that's where you're going to see a lot of those. You're going to see H-POW, Enhanced Warriors a lot because it's really good. It's probably one of the better comps in the game. The next one we're going to be going over is going to be Warrior. Speak of the devil. Fear Warrior is going to be, if not the easiest spec in the entire game. It does insane amount of damage, and when I mean insane, I'm talking about a good Fury Warrior will double everyone's damage. Now, it obviously can if you're facing a double caster team and you're struggling to hit something, that's different. But normally, if you're able to hit something, you're gonna do top damage. It just does a really. There's so many comps you can play: BM Hunter, Fury, LE Fury, Ret Fury, Enhancement Fury, Mage, SP. There's just a limited amount of comps you can play with Fury Warrior. It's pretty insane. The next one we have the Arms Warrior, which is going to be actually pretty high up on this list as well. They received a really nice buff. I will say it's worse than Fury, but it's still playable. It's still really good. You can play Turbo with Arms. Um, that's you're kind of forced to play Turbo as Arms Warrior right now. I would think. I wouldn't see it like an Arms Warrior working with like a Frost Mage like a Fury Warrior would. So if you're looking to play Arms, just play like Turbo or like Ret Warrior. Those are like your two options. Still playable, still good. It's not as good as Fury, but overall it's still going to be a pretty solid choice. The next one we have is DK. Frost DK. Right now, currently, I would say is as pretty easy. Pretty easy to hit Gladiator. The problem is you gotta know how to play the spec. So if you're really good at the spec, you can consider it S tier because this is going to be an insane comp. You put a Frosty with a Fury Warrior, it's gonna be just destruction. But I'm talking about class specifically. So, we can't just put another class with it and be like, oh, well, this is gonna get glad. You have to put it by itself. So by itself, it's still A plus tier. It's still okay. If you face anybody that knows how to face a Frost DK, it's gonna be problematic. And that's the only reason I'm putting it at A plus tier is because when I face a Frost DK, I just permanently line, and it forces him to have to do a go on two people, and I kind of just sit back and wait for the go to end because it is really hard to get a good healer into your grip unless you do it immediately. So still really insane. You're gonna see a lot of Frost DKs, but definitely not S tier. Definitely close. So A plus tier is close, but not quite there. Unholy DK. Honestly, it's not gonna be that good. You face a Fury Warrior or any current meta right now, they're just gonna you just can't keep up. Unholy DKs do really good amounts of damage, and that's good, but put a Fury Warrior on an Unholy DK or a Pharaoh or a BM Hunter, like you're just not gonna be able to survive. Like I'm sorry, you don't have the cooldowns, and where you might have Acebound and AMS, you're just gonna be too hard to heal. At least Frost DK, you're kind of controlling the map and then you're running away. As in Unholy DK, you kind of have to full throttle the entire game. You can't just run away. You're just PvEing. That's the difference that you'll see with a lot of Frost DKs. They're gonna do their go and then they're running. As an Unholy DK, they're doing their go and they're trying to keep doing. They need to like keep the pressure going. Not gonna be very good. So I wouldn't count on Unholy DK being the greatest, but still playable. Give me a good old fashioned drink. Okay, for the next one here, let's go with Mage. Fire Mage, I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be absolutely garbage. It's really bad. It's unfortunate. Um, you can make it work again. Every single class in the game can get Glad. Obviously, it's gonna be dependent on who's playing the spec. You're a rank 1 player and you play with a rank 1 team. It doesn't matter what you're playing right now. You're able to get you're able to get Gladiator. So to say Fire Mage can't get Gladiator, it definitely can. However, let's be honest, the average player or even a Gladiator player is not getting Glad as Fire Mage. It's just not gonna happen. The next one we have is Frost Mage, which is gonna be pretty high up on the list as well as easy terms. There's a lot of comps you can play, and while it's not as good as Elemental Shaman, it's still pretty easy. You can play Frost Mage Fury Warrior, Frost Mage Assassination Rogue, Frost Mage Demo Warlock, Frost Mage Feral Druid. Again, there's just a lot of comps you can play, and that's a good thing. There's a lot of comps that are just really good. So you're able to play like so many variety of comps, and that's the one good thing about this season. Unfortunately, the rating system and the MMR system sucks, but at least, the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the season, I'd say right about now you can get Gladiator. Like if I were to log back on, which I will be the 6th, I'll get my Gladiator on my like 4 accounts because this is the time to queue because everyone's pushing. But Frost Mage really easy. But overall, it's just easy. It's not gonna be that hard. However, it's not a Ellie, it's not a Fury Warrior, it's not a Pharaoh or a BM or etc. Still really good though. I'd say it's easier than the other melee just because you're able to sit back and just PvE. The next one we have is Arcane Mage. This is going to be a hard spec to hit Glad on. You got to really know how to play Arcane. It's kind of like Fire Mage. You're going to struggle versus Hunters. You're going to struggle versus Shamans. And you face a lot of Shamans. So, they're going to ground your burst. They're going to kick you. They're going to knock you. They're going to stun you. I cannot stand it. I tried playing Arcane a little while back. And it was great when I could free cast. But then when I actually had to get everything off at once, grounding totem, kick totem, grounding totem, kick totem. It's just a never-ending amount of just stuff that you have to go through. I cannot stand it. I love Arcane, but let's be honest, it's not that good. It's really comp biased. If you don't get people that are all stacked together, you literally just you do your little burst rotation, and then you're pretty much useless until your burst comes back up. Now, if they're stacked together like a Demon Warlock with pets, you have an infinite amount of damage. That's where you're getting your butter and bread. But overall, if we're basing it on the spec itself, it's going to be A. The next one we have is going to be Affliction Warlock. which is going to be again another easy spec. I would probably say Ellie and Fury are easier, just because as a Warlock you gotta be able to port. You need to be able to know when you're walling, and damage wise you don't really have to worry about it. You're just literally putting UAs up and bleeding. It's literally the easiest thing. You can't mess up the damage rotation. It's really just porting and how to use your cooldowns and know how to kite. If you just stand there and you port after you port, you just, oh, I'm just gonna stand here and keep doing damage, you're probably gonna die. But overall, Affliction Warlock's just insanely broken. Again, Assassination Rogue, Affliction Warlock is really insane. Brain Dead comp, Feral, Affliction Warlock, really nice. Affliction SP, Affliction Ellie, that works. There's so many things you can queue. So if you're looking to play, for Glad, these are your top three easiest, and they're the top three best. So not only are they easy to play, but they're really insane. The next one we have is going to be Demo Warlock. Um, Surprisingly, on this list, I'm going to be putting this pretty high. I would say Demo does take a little bit more skill to play, and that's the only reason it's going to be like a little bit lower. Um, Demo Warlock is insane. Do not underestimate Demo Warlocks. They are meant to dampen you, but any solid Demo Warlock will be able to get Gladiator, and it's going to be a very easy spec to play because Demo Warlocks, they're really strong. You can play Demo Frost Mage, Demo really, Demo really anything. You can play a lot of things with Demo Warlock. Affliction Warlock with a demo that works. I've literally seen a Crusader play with Jamili. He is playing, or I think it was this random Warlock and an Enhancement Shaman. Big damn, they're playing Demo Enhancement Shaman at like 2700. So that should tell you enough. So still really good, but that's pretty much that. Next we have is Destro, kinda in the same position as Unholy DK and Arcane. It's not looking too great. The damage that's rolling out, you just don't have enough time to cast. So like you need to be able to get in there, have consistent pressure, and not cast. If you look at the other difference with these classes, when a Frost Mage bursts, it doesn't cast. When an Ellie bursts, it doesn't cast. Uh, Granted, Warlocks do cast, but overall, you're not really casting much. And if you are casting, you're just doing an infinite amount of burst. That's the difference between a Destro and the A tier compared to the A plus tier. But that's pretty much that. The next one we're going to be going over is going to be Rogue, Sub Rogue. It's going to be A tier. Now you can play RMP, and that's pretty much your only comp you can play as a Sub Rogue. If I had to legitimately put it somewhere though, I would put it like I would say it's harder to get Gladiator as a Sub Rogue. Um, Not only because I mean it's kind of hard to say. I mean, Sub Rogue is a high end spec. That's the problem. So if you're talking about what's easiest to get Gladiator, it's definitely not easy at all. It would be extremely difficult. Obviously, granted, if you have a rank 1 team, but overall, it's not going to be that great. It's going to be just as hard as, like, I would say it's even harder, to be honest. I would say it's even harder than Fire Mage right now to get Gladiator as a sub rogue. The problem is I never face sub rogues in threes. I've only faced like one or two. They're all playing like assassination or something. So yeah, I would not queue sub rogue. It's gonna be miserable. You're gonna struggle. You're gonna be like somebody that needs to win the opener or you lose. It's not gonna be fun. The next one we have is Outlaw Rogue, which is gonna be pretty high up on the list as well. Now I will say it's probably harder to get Gladiator on Outlaw Rogue though, because you're forced to play one comp. Boomy Outlaw Rogue. That's it. You kind of have to play that. You can't play Frost Mage Outlaw. You can't play Ellie Outlaw. You gotta play Boomy Outlaw. That is your one comp, and if you can get somebody that's good with it, you could have Evoker, Boomy, Outlaw Rogue, or something like that. Just a maximum dampener. It's gonna be pretty solid. Still not S tier, but still pretty good as well. So then we have Assassination Rogue. Assassination Rogue, surprisingly, and the reason I'm putting it this high on this list is not because it's good. It's mainly because of its garrote spamming and its burst capabilities. Now, if you guys haven't seen an Assassination Rogue, well, let me tell you. You put an assassination rogue with a affliction warlock, that is probably one of the best comps in the game. It is not because of the assassination rogue. It really matters. If you're stacking together, the assassination rogue will walk over you any day of the week. If you know how to face an assassination rogue and you do not stack, you're most likely gonna, walk over the rogue. But Assassination Rogue is going to be one of your easiest classes in the game to push Gladiator just because you have a lot of options. Frost Mage, Assassination, your best comp is going to be Affliction, Assassination by far. Like you get this comp with a good healer, and you're just good to go. Like you're gonna full throttle. You can play Evoker, Assassination Rogue. You can play Elias, anything with Assassination Rogue. You can play on Holy DK with this Assassination Rogue. There's a lot of things you can play, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be easy. If you're looking to push Glide on a rogue, this is going to be your spec. Get an Affliction Warlock, get a Frost Mage, and you'll win a lot of games, I promise. The next one we have is Druid, which is going to be way high up on this list after the buff. Jungle is the best comp in the singular game at the moment. Now, I would say Pharaoh is harder to get glide on because it takes a little bit. It's skill gap. So like sub rogue, it's always gonna have some type of skill with it. You need to be able to clone. You need to be able to pre-bear goes because if you get caught out of form, or if you get caught in even cat form in a bomb or something, they die really quick. Feral druids die faster than any other class in the entire game. It's fast. It's quick. It's literally as fast as an assassination rogue without evasion. It's just ungodly amounts of damage. Especially now that Fury and Ellie and all these other comps are just doing max pressure, you're gonna struggle. However, Feral Druid with the BM Hunter, Feral Druid with the Mage, Feral Affliction Warlock, Ellie. There's so many comps you can play. So just look at what everyone else is playing, and you just play the same thing they are. So Feral Druid's going to be a really good option. It is going to be a little bit high end wise, but it's still easy. They just, you just go in and Primal Wrath everybody. You get a few clones off. That's pretty much it. The next one we have is Boomy. Again, speak of the devil. So Boomy's going to be, I would say Boomy is going to be harder to hit Gladiator on than the other classes here. Only because, again, it really matters how you play defensively. If you don't know how to kite and you don't know how to clone, you're probably going to get absolutely like these classes will destroy you. Like if you don't know how to like play against them, you don't know how to root them and clone them on the burst, you're going to have trouble. But if you're a good Boomy and you're playing Boomy Outlaw Rogue, if you're playing this comp, it means you know what you're doing. Because if you nobody new is going to play this comp and win. It is really hard to win. Uh, as Outlaw Rogue because it's that dampener. You need a max dampening team. That's why, you only see pro players playing Outlaw Rogue because it sucks. It's boring. It's not fun at all. So that's pretty much that. So Boomy's going to be a really good option to push on. Boomy Demo Warlock is going to be probably your better comp to play. It's really broken and it's really easy. So your options are going to be Boomy. You can play Boomy Fury Warrior, which you might see a lot of these guys. Surprisingly, you wouldn't think this would be an insane comp, but Fury Warrior can work with anything. Anything. It's that strong. These top dogs can pretty much play with Boomy. So I would say Boomy might be a little bit lower, to be honest. Maybe Outlaw Rogue too. I might end up moving these down because they're going to be a little harder to gain. So what I want to do is I think I think this looks better, honestly. I think just because, Boomy does a lot of burst. I just feel like it's not that good in 3, though. Like, I don't really face it, and if I do, it's like, they just take so much damage. And then Outlaw Rogues, I see like one Outlaw Rogue every like 30, 40 games, and it doesn't look that great. Granted, it does damage, but I have to look at it as a specifically its class and not just playing with a certain comp. So by itself, I need to look at it by itself. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The next one we have is BM Hunter. BM Hunter is going to be really good, really insane actually. Jungle BM, this is your best comps. If you're looking for the freest gladiator, play a Fury Warrior, play an Ellie, or play a BM Hunter. Those three. So as a BM Hunter, you can play BM Feral, BM Fury Warrior, um, and you'll probably win every game. It's that easy. If you can get jungle or if you can get Fury BM, you're gonna full throttle the entire bracket. It's gonna be insane. So you have a lot of options for S tier, and these are all gonna be really easy to push Glide on. So you have plenty of options to do. The next one we have is gonna be Survival Hunter. Not gonna be very good for pushing wise. I would say it's probably better than Destro, but worse than like Arcane. Like these ones at least have they can compete. I would say these lower ones, they're going to have a hard time keeping up, but it's still possible. These two are just kind of like, they're going to be hard. Like, that's what it is. So, Survival Hunter, it's going to be hard getting Glide on it. Still possible. If you put a lot of time into it, you can get Gladiator on anybody. But overall, it is going to be difficult. Past this, it's going to be a little bit harder to get Gladiator on these type of specs than it would be like an Enhance or a Fraud, one of these ones. So keep that in mind. Hunter is going to be in the same exact position. Now, it did get a little bit of buffs, so I will say it's probably in front of Serve and Destro, but behind the rest of these guys. Um, it does a lot of burst. You could maybe make it like, Pharaoh beat Hunter and get boosted by the Pharaoh Druid, just because the Pharaoh does so much pressure. You could make something work out of it, but overall, individually, class-wise, it's not going to be that great. It's going to get full trained. You'll still be able to get Gladiator with it, don't get me wrong. But overall, again, I'm rating this as a singular spec. So as Hunter, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be a free on. The next one we have is going to be Ret Paladin. Ret Paladin is going to be pretty high up on the list here. And if I had to put it somewhere legitimately, I would probably put it right here. So as a melee, I would say play Ret Warrior. You don't really have many other comps than that. You have Cupid and you have Ret Warrior. That's all you can really queue. So you either queue BM Hunter, Ret Paladin, or Ret Paladin, and Fury Warrior. So you got to play with one of these, and you'll win games. But clutch individually, you might struggle a little bit. If you have any one of these guys on top of you, it's gonna be really hard to not die from them. Because they're all doing max dam. So keep that in mind. And then we have H-Pal. H-Pal is going to be the #1 healer in the entire game for pushing Gladiator. After the buff, it got, everyone's playing Lightsmith. So, I personally hate Lightsmith, but it is the best currently. You're going to get the most outcome of healing out of it. Like, it's just max healing. When you get that proc going, it's just butter and bread. I personally hate it. I wish Herald was the meta. Unfortunately, it's not. H-File is going to be your best healer in the game. There is a few others that you can play, but H-File is going to be one of the best. You play H-File Fury Warrior, BM, you can play the H-File anything pretty much. The next one we have is going to be Priest. Shadow Priest is going to be kind of where Demo is on the list here. So, although Shadow Priest isn't insane, it's automatically A plus tier because of it. It has everything you would want. It has burst damage, it has control, it has healing, it has defensive cooldowns, it has everything. You just, even if SP is kind of being overshadowed, you can play a lot of comps. SP Assassination Rogue, SP Fury Warrior, SP Pharaoh Druid, SP Demon Warlock, SP Mage. There's a lot of things you can do pretty much. So still really good. I wouldn't say it's. They're probably lower on the end here. So I wouldn't say like, they're just good. They're all like close to each other, evenly out a little bit. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think about that. The next one is Disc Priest. Is going to be your second best healer in the game. Now, personally, healing wise, it's going to be top 3. So it's not going to be the first best or the second best, but it is going to be good. So Disc Priest with Jungle is going to be one of your better options. Cupid, really good as well. Again, Ret Paladin, BM Hunter, Fury, BM Hunter. There's just a lot of things you can play. There's a lot. You can play RMP with the Mage. I think H-Power RMP would be kind of better, but you can still make it work. Disc Priest is a really good option as well. So keep in mind that's a nice healer. The next one we have is going to be Holy Priest. Pretty much trash. It's going to be almost impossible, if not impossible. You're going to struggle versus like anybody that has a brain. I think Holy Priest, it was fun back in Shadowlands, but they just haven't been good in a long time. And I prefer Holy Priest than Disc Priest. I hate Disc Priest. I love Holy Priest because Holy Priest is all about skill. Disc Priest is spamming shields. That's it. You're not doing anything else. But unfortunately, Holy Priest is absolutely garbage. Again, you can make it work somehow. Again, you can make any of these classes work, but it by itself, it's gonna be hard. So I wouldn't try it. Just play Disc. It's just gonna be better. The next one we have is Wrestler, which is going to be a little bit better than Holy Priest, but still really hard. You're going to get focus hardcore. A Fury Warrior getting on you in 1 second, you're pretty much dead. Any of these S tier specs, or even past like anybody from here is going to one shot you. So from here and up, if you get a full stun and you have no trinket, you're getting one. You just cannot. You're not going to survive. And that's the problem with Wrestler Druid. You're going to get all your HOTS purged, and then you're going to get one shot. Unfortunate. Rest of the routes have been not the best for a pretty while now. After Dragon, I mean, they rolled in Dragonflight for a bit, so they had their run, but still. The next one we have is going to be. Let me move these out of the way. So let's go with Windwalker. Windwalker, unfortunately, is also going to be kind of hard to push in. Um, I would say it's easier than Outlaw Rogue, or it's definitely easy, but it still kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it does good amount of burst damage, but if you face any of these guys, I don't really see a Windwalker competing past this. Like, they're just gonna die. Like, they do a lot of burst. Don't get me wrong, and I think their defensive cooldowns have gotten a lot better. It's gonna be a lot harder to hit Glad on a Windwalker though, because you don't really have any comps to play. Like, why Q with a Windwalker when you can Q it with a Fury Warrior or a Pharaoh Druid or a BM Hunter, or any of these classes? Like, there's just no point. So Windwalker is not going to be the easiest. It's not going to be the most insane hard class to get Gladiator on. But overall, not going to be the greatest. The next one we have is Mistweaver. This is kind of your fourth best healer. Mistweaver's good. You know, it has Orb, which is a really good cooldown. Now, it really does depend on how good you are, but that's kind of a no-brainer. So this is pretty much your off-spec healers that you're able to get Gladiator on. Wrestle Shaman and Mistweaver. So you're going to see a good amount of these guys. Overall, the three top dogs is what you're mainly going to see, and that would be Evoker, H-Pal, and Ditch Priest. Evokers do an insane amount of burst, they do an insane amount of heal HPS, and they pretty much have everything you would want. They have a lot of defensive cooldowns. They just have a lot. They have a lot of things to use. They're probably the best healer in the game, healing wise. H-Pal's best overall because it has healing and utility. So again, these are going to be your top three healers. DH, it's going to be really hard as a DH. I would say it's one of the hardest, if not, top three. So Fire Mage, Sub Rogue, DH. So yeah, you're gonna pretty much. I'd say Sub Rogue and Fire Mage. Actually, I put it like here. So DH, it does a good amount of burst. You could probably play Boomy DH, but overall, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard. Like if you get stunned by any of these guys, you're just taking so much damage. I don't know how you're gonna survive. Like healer gets yeah, it's just not gonna happen. I mean, there's a reason I haven't fought a single sub rogue or any of these guys. I rarely fight any of these other than like Boomies. I rarely ever fight anything else. And then we have his Evoker, which is going to be pretty high up on the list as well. It does a ton of burst, and that's kind of an obvious thing. I would say it's one of the easier things to get Gladiator on. Frost aka Evoker, Fury Warrior Evoker, BM Hunter Evoker. You can play anything in the S tier with a Evoker and just full throttle the entire team. It's really good as well. There's a reason we see a bunch of Evokers all of a sudden. They do 1.5 million bursts a second. It's a lot of damn. It's a lot of pressure, and the FCC. You get everything. And then we have AUG, which is going to be one of the worst specs in the entire game. You're going to struggle with these specs. Obviously, you can still get Gladiator. Don't get me wrong. You put a rank 1 player on one of these, you're going to get it. And that's just, that's a no-brainer. But just, they're going to be hard. They're going to be hard to get Gladiator on. So these are pretty much your go-to Glad from A+ up. This is what you're going to want to play. I'd advise Q with something that's in an S tier folder. So Q with the Fury Warrior, Q with an Elliot, Affliction Warlock, BM, Assas, or Feral Druid. And then, any one of these are fine as well. So all of these are really good as well. But you want to try to play a comp that's based around one of these. If you can have two of these in the same group, you're going to have a good time. But it's been X. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. Check out my Patreon down below for early access content. In the future, it may be a big thing, but for now, I'm kind of just casually doing it. So, hopefully you guys liked the video. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.